I'm joined by Sky News contributor Kosha Gada. We're in for a long day, I suspect, on Wednesday week, aren't we?
Yes, and it can't come soon enough. It's been quite the cycle. You know, the polls are tightening, as you mentioned, or they have Trump up a little bit. He's really closed that gap and he's inching ahead. But more interestingly, now that we're so close to down to the wire, we've got early voting data in all 7 battleground states and then some.
So do we get exit polls from that?
Not exit polls, because they count them only on the day, but we have some indications where some of the states, not all of them, do report if the ballot submitted was by a registered Republican or a registered Democrat. You don't know how they voted, but you know who they are.
Yep.
And it's really interesting where 2 things. One is the volume of mail-in ballots are way down, and that is something that Democrats always had an advantage in. That is what led to Joe Biden's victory last time, way down 50% or more. And the second is Republicans, who normally did not like early voting, have really embraced it. And in some of the swing states, they're actually flipping it, and they're ahead of the Democrats. So I think that's a very interesting piece. What's going to help Kamala is that she just has more money, and she's got a superior ground game, the Democrats in general, and women are turning out at a higher rate, which tend to favor her. So it's tight, but I think the early voting signals are very, very telling.
We're in the twilight zone. How dirty is it going to get between now and polling day, and who's going to have most of the dirt thrown at them? And should I perhaps say, I guess it's probably Donald Trump.
Yes, we're definitely, I think, I won't be surprised by anything. We are in the twilight zone for sure. And just the John Kelly thing, for instance, that came out.
What did you make of the Kelly comments? But that's not new, is it?
It's not new. That's the thing. So the whole, he's Hitler, he liked Hitler's generals, that was the framing. If he were somebody new and you're defining him, maybe it could work. But Donald Trump has been famous since the 1990s. He was host of a primetime television show for 14 years. He has been in numerous movies and rap lyrics and TV shows, and he was president for 4 years and didn't run gas chambers or, rule by diktat. So the whole thing just makes no sense, and it's interesting that they're going back to this at the 11th hour. It's almost like there's nothing left.
Who's campaigning harder, him or her, in terms of the events they're doing?
Definitely him. I think I saw a stat somewhere that
that's what he's done.
He's always done. And the thing is, you can tell that he's having fun.
Yes.
You really can tell he's having fun.
The dancing day was amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work for him. And I saw a stat that he's done 33% more events than her. He's 20 years older than her, but you wouldn't think it from the energy levels.
So she's wheeled out the big names. I think Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, we've seen them, but the real big names are out now. Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce, Samuel L. Jackson, Eminem. That help her?
No.
I think that probably turns... If you're an undecided voter,
yep,
you're going, well, do you really need all these big Hollywood names to convince me to vote for you?
And the Democrats always have them because Hollywood is very left, yes, and they do that.
Bill Clinton playing the saxophone and all that.
Yes, but he had that common touch. I think especially now where there's a cost of living crisis and people are suffering economically, out-of-touch celebrities don't do anything. They can offer a finishing touch if the candidate is a very substantively strong person like Obama. He had lots of celebrities, people loved him as a candidate, and then he had that. But if you are substance-free, which is, I think, generally how she has come across, I don't think packaging this with the celebrity at the last minute is going to move the needle.
I've watched a lot of stuff with her. I mean, I shouldn't go down the Twitter mine, but sometimes you do. Is she really that loose and unconnected to reality? I mean, it's easy to criticise her, but she doesn't seem terribly smart.
You know, it's kind of impossible to ignore. I know what you mean about it's easy to meme and, pluck things out of her, but she was hiding from the media. And then obviously it wasn't working because the polls were tightening, and her team clearly said, you got to go out and do it. And then, she fumbled the ball multiple times. People thought she'll get better. And the CNN town hall that just happened the other day is sort of case in point where even basic questions like what is her weakness, that's something every college grad...
Anderson interrupted.
That's right. Like every college grad gets that question. Your first interview out of college, you get that question and she couldn't answer it. Or she's been asked, how are you different from Biden? I don't know, but even that isn't an excuse. I think if you're running for this job, the most powerful job in the world, that is not a fair excuse. So it feels like she's just not strong on substance, and she's not able to think on her feet, and it's kind of impossible to ignore.
The other thing that strikes me that is damaging her, she's been vice president for 3.5 years, and all of these issues that they're now fighting the election on, illegal immigration, housing, cost of living, well, she's been in the White House.
Yep.
That really damages her, I think.
That's been a fundamental issue for her, and she has not figured out how to navigate it. Where she's running as a change candidate, because that's what the electorate wants right now. They're not happy with the direction of the country. And she's simultaneously refusing to put any daylight between her and the president. She's been asked that question 5 times now by friendly media. What's the difference between you and President Biden? And she just won't say it or can't say it while trying to pretend that she's different. And I don't think that works. The American people aren't buying it.
2 other quick things. I don't know if it'll impact on the vote, but would there be some Democrats who are still unhappy about the way Biden was pushed out?
Yes, I think you hear that anecdotally, and in some polls it's been measured. There is a big faction of the Bernie Sanders wing of the party still, and I think they especially feel that they've just been disenfranchised by the party over multiple years. And then this last thing, the fact that she never got a vote, I do think it's damaging.
Explain the Robert Kennedy thing for me. Does that work for Trump?
I think so, because
He
most
said some
iconic
pretty out there things about vaccines and stuff, but
he
seems to have
out
been
there.
forgiven for that.
Yes, and his message about
And he's a
making
Kennedy.
he's a Kennedy, he's an iconic Democrat, and between him, Tulsi Gabbard, the former congresswoman from Hawaii, those were significant endorsements, and they matter much more than Bruce Springsteen and Taylor Swift on the other side.
And is it correct that she's struggling to attract young male black voters?
The polling seems to say that. We'll find out with the exit polling, what the truth is. That is going to be one of the big stories coming out of this election. But if the polling at this stage is true, 25% for Trump is unheard of. That has never happened for any Republican candidate, and it's going to be a complete realignment, the likes of which we haven't seen.
Who wins?
That's $1 million question. It's so tight, Steve. I really struggle to give a decisive one, but if I had to bet on it, and actually poly market
10 days out, so I'm not going to hold you to it.
I think the momentum's with Trump.